Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video. I'm going to talk about Warner Brothers, and man, they are going through it right now. We did a video the other day talking about the $9.1 billion write-down that they took. And there's talk that they could split Warner Brothers up into multiple companies. And now there's talk they could sell off their games division and that they could license their IP out to other companies to produce. This feels like Warner Brothers is going to transition into an IP rights holder, kind of like what's going on with Hasbro right now, right? Where Hasbro owns all this IP, but they're letting other companies make their toys, make their games. I saw some games the other day. They were like the retro collection of like Monopoly and Clue and stuff like that. They were actually made by another game company. And we know that they're outsourcing Power Rangers to Playmates, and some of these other brands are going to like Basic Fun. And this is what happens. This is kind of the end of the line here when your company has grown so big that you have to chase profit quarter after quarter after quarter when there's just no more blood to get out of the stones. So let's talk about this disaster, because part of the blame for this, I think, can be shifted to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which was a phenomenal failure. Can't imagine why they have to do this. So let's talk about it. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Check out the audio edition of Clownfish TV and Derezzed wherever you find podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon. Definitely helps us out. Subscribe over there. Not a lot of people know we do the podcast, but we do the podcast. So if you don't want to watch the bobbing cartoon heads or you're on the go, you will never miss an episode. So please sub over there. So yeah, there is talk that Warner Brothers could sell off its games division, and they are definitely shutting things down by degrees. We did a video yesterday or the day before talking about Cartoon Network shutting down the website. Boomerang app is gone. Everything is redirecting to Max, formerly HBO Max. They want you to subscribe over there. And it seems like they're just consolidating all of their IP into this streaming service. But now there's talk that they're going to outsource at least games. And I think it's going to be more than that. I'm going to tell you why I think it's going to be more than that. So again, this is another possible scenario. If they sell their game division off, they'll just outsource, kind of like Disney did. They had their own in-house video game company, and then they shut that down. That would be the company that produced Disney Infinity. And they outsourced everything to EA. So this comes from Game Rant. Warner Brothers may start licensing its biggest gaming franchises out to other companies. Warner Brothers CEO suggested the company may be planning to license out major properties like DC and Harry Potter for more game variety. Outsourcing game development may help Warner Brothers adapt to rising costs and longer production cycles. Executives are confident in the future of Warner Brothers video games. It may expand licensing to other developers. So David Zaslav stated in the company's latest earnings call that Warner Brothers may license out some of its biggest properties to allow for a wider variety of video game offerings. Warner Brothers owns the rights to major franchises like DC, Harry Potter, and Looney Tunes, among many others, and the possibility of more game development studios having access to these licenses may be promising for fans. Now, they just bought the studio that produced Multiverses, which is basically like the Warner Brothers version of Super Smash Brothers. They just bought them like 2 weeks ago. Now they're talking about selling off the studio, outsourcing stuff. There are a lot of very hasty decisions being made at Warner Brothers, and we're going to look at the animation side of it too in this video, because I think before it's all said and done, they're just going to outsource a lot of stuff. As video games have become more expensive to make and as gaming production cycles continue to get longer, many AAA studios have looked to outsourcing development to ensure consumers and investors stay interested. To who? Who are you going to outsource to? All the AAA studios are closing. Who are you going to outsource to? Following the comments from Zaslav, many are now speculating that Warner Brothers will also begin looking outward to expand its library of video games. During the earnings call, Zaslav addressed a question regarding the company's video game sector. As reported by IGN, he stated that he and JB Peretti of WB Games are keen on developing Warner Brothers gaming business. They specifically want to focus on the free-to-play sector of video game offerings while also taking advantage of its diverse IP portfolio. He's talking about Hogwarts Legacy, and Warner Brothers would like to continue utilizing in-house studios for game development. However, he also stated Warner Brothers has started looking at allowing others to assist in maximizing the value of its IP, perhaps suggesting that more developers will be granted access to making video games. While they haven't officially announced any AAA partnerships, comments made by Zaslav and Peretti in the Q2 earnings call seem to indicate the topic has been brought under consideration. Warner Brothers has previously licensed out properties like DC Superhero Girls and Looney Tunes. And we're going to talk about, again, Looney Tunes in particular. They are releasing the new Looney Tunes movie. They are. But it's not Warner Brothers releasing it. They were going to shelve it. You know, and there's another film that they shelved, and we're going to talk about this one too. It may never see the light of day. They said, contrary to the rumors of Warner Brothers turning away from gaming, it would seem that the company's top execs are confident in the future of WB video games. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're going to make them themselves. There was a rumor, according to the Financial Times, that they were going to just sell off the games division. And I could see them doing this. I could see them selling off the games division. Somebody might want, because Mortal Kombat isn't one of their own in-house IP, right? They acquired Mortal Kombat via several mergers and acquisitions over the years. They acquired it, and we can argue as to whether or not they've done right by it. So the games are hit or miss, right? I don't know if Mortal Kombat 1 was quite as big of a hit as they were hoping for. I guess people are still playing it. I got bored. I'm going to be honest. I got bored after like a couple of days. I'm like, it's all right, but it's not great. I still prefer the original 2D trilogy, but that's just me because I'm old, right? So that's what I want. But yeah, Hogwarts Legacy made a ton of money, but you can outsource that. And they might have the wrong takeaway. They might be looking at this like it's not it's not the team that put the game together. It's the brand itself, like Hasbro. They're like, oh, we're going to make D&D games. We're going to make Baldur's Gate games without Larian Studios. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to look at this like they're probably going to get the wrong takeaway. Like Harry Potter is such a popular brand that even if we do shitty mobile apps or a bunch of, subpar games, people are going to buy it. And that's not always the case. It really depends on the studio. But yeah, they're talking about possibly selling it off. Everything must go. Cartoon Network shut its website down. We talked about that. Looney Tunes, this movie got shelved, and there's so many people in animation right now out of work, and there were a bunch of Cartoon Network sequels or reboots or adjacent series that are now being booted over to HBO Max. It's streaming fodder. And there's been talk before that Warner Brothers is very, very open to letting other streaming platforms or other people bankroll their content. Look at what happened with the new Batman cartoon. That's a whole nother issue. I haven't watched it yet. But the last two Batman series have been on Amazon and not on Max. Not series, but like the Christmas special, they put that on Amazon, didn't they? Yeah, so they're open to just like letting anybody buy their stuff. Whoever's got money, if you wave it under Zaslav's nose, they will probably, it's like a freaking yard sale or estate sale. You go into the house and it's like, is that lamp for sale? Well, make me an offer. It wasn't going to be for sale, but maybe I'll sell to you if the price is right. So how long until somebody comes along and possibly offers DC the right amount of money for something like DC Comics? Or, I'm saying like some of their IP, some specific Cartoon Network shows, or maybe the whole kit and caboodle, all the Cartoon Network originals. Everything must go. Just like Paramount, everything must go. Like, I don't think people are fully digesting what a shitty situation both Paramount and Warner Brothers find themselves in. Everybody focuses on Disney. Disney has or had their theme parks propping them up. So they could take the loss. They could absorb it better, I think, than a lot of these companies. And in the case of Universal, they could absorb the loss because they're owned by Comcast, and Comcast has very deep pockets. The only thing that's going to save Warner Brothers at this point is if another tech company comes along and buys them out. That's it, like Amazon or Netflix, and that's why I kind of wonder if they're not trying to make some inroads now to have that happen, because that is the only viable exit strategy, in my opinion, for Warner Brothers right now. There's nothing they can do I mean, they owe so much money. Basically, Warner Brothers, as I understand it, the deal was AT&T took Warner Brothers, all these worthless, and they are worthless. That's why they wrote down their linear TV networks. All this worthless stuff, scraped it off the bottom of their shoes because it was dragging them down. And they bundled it up with Discovery, and they made a new company out of it. And that company's lost like 70% of their stock value. It's a freaking disaster. I mean, it's a disaster. So yeah, they shelved a bunch of movies, canceled a bunch of animated series. They're shutting down Cartoon Network by degrees. And there's another animated movie that will probably never see the light of day. And this is Jendy Tartakovsky's Fixed. I guess it's about a dog who finds out he's getting neutered the next day. So he goes out and parties. An adult cartoon. I'm assuming it's adult. But nobody knows what's going to happen to it. Cartoon Brew has this. Warner Brothers will no longer release Jendy Tartakovsky's Fixed. According to Puck, Matthew Bellany, he said the project, a co-production of Warner's New Line and Sony Pictures, was finished with a voice cast including Adam Devine and Catherine Hahn, but Warner's has decided not to release it. Same with Looney Tunes. They're not going to take a hit at the theater. Instead, it's given the movie back to Sony, which is now trying to sell it to a streaming service or another distributor. Without a buyer, Fixed will probably meet the same fate as Batgirl or Coyote vs. Acme. And both these movies were done or effectively done. Same with that. Nobody talks about the Scooby-Doo Christmas movie or Scoob 2. Was it Scoob 2? That was done. Like, these movies are done, and Warner Brothers has no confidence in these movies to turn a profit. So they're like, we'd rather just take the write-off, not release it, and get a W on our taxes for it. Be like, yeah, we spent $200 million on this thing, but we didn't release it because we would have had to spend another $200 million to promote it, and it probably was only going to make, if we're lucky, $200 million. It has nothing to do with brand damaging. I don't think. They said Batgirl was brand damaging. I'm like, the freaking Flash wasn't. The Flash was brand damaging. You had one chance to get Michael Keaton back as Batman, and you wasted it on that Ezra Miller movie. And you spent a ridiculous amount of money on reshoots, and it was a massive failure. So yeah, they're getting cold feet. If they could outsource everything to somebody else, just say, hey, you want to make Looney Tunes? Do you want to make DC Comics? I think they'd do it. We just print money. It's just like Disney. They license stuff out all the time. And Hasbro's doing that too. Because they realize it's a lot more lucrative to be the license holder and not actually get your hands dirty or take the risk, right? Because if somebody else licenses your stuff and they're the ones paying you a license fee, so they're paying you to take the risk, and if it's profitable, you get more money. And guess what? You don't have to deal with making the thing. You don't have to deal with any production delays. You don't have to deal with unhappy customers. You don't have to deal with potential PR black eyes. If it's a licensee, as long as you don't make the main company look bad. You know what I'm saying? It's a win-win for these studios, and I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're just going to license everything out, sell everything else. It's not worth it. If we don't think we can get any more juice out of Gumball or whatever after we do these Max series, well, maybe we'll just sell it to Netflix or something. They're just going to sell everything. Sell everything. So I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.